Where do you seek inspiration for your next holiday? On TikTok or Instagram? Then you're in line with the trend. It could cost you the individuality of the experience though. How social media is changing traveling, our topic today on Shift. Sitting at the beach, listening to the waves, is something that I can only enjoy on YouTube at the moment. But we've still got social media. This video is from St. Pete Clearwater in the US. It's got more than 200,000 clicks on YouTube. The tourism industry is struggling, but the pandemic is also an opportunity for entrepreneurs like Patrick Karangwa from Rwanda. He offers virtual tours.
I realize Rwanda as a country and in general also Africa was underrepresented on Google Maps, on digital maps. And this is where the idea came from.
Currently, he's testing a prototype which enables visitors to speak to a travel guide live. Creative ideas like these are experiencing a real boom at the moment. For instance, on the Faroe Islands. Have a look at what the Central Tourism Office came up with.
This travel guide is remotely controlled, just like in a computer game. Equipped with a helmet camera, she scouts the Faroe Islands, an archipelago in the North Atlantic. Her route is determined by tour guests watching from home.
So you're sort of steering this person and deciding what you want to see and where you want this person to go.
When you press left, we turn left. And when you press jump, well, we jump.
The Central Tourism Office came up with the idea in early 2020 as the islands were closed to tourists in the wake of the corona pandemic. Instead, viewers could watch on Instagram Live or Facebook. And at the office's website, guests could even take turns steering the tour guides. They could be instructed to hike, ride, steer boats, or even fly in a helicopter. Levi Hansen was one of the guides.
It's very surreal to know that you're walking around here in the Faroe Islands being controlled by someone, you know, on their sofa. And it does feel a bit sort of, it's surreal and a bit sort of futuristic in some ways.
By late June, almost 1 million people had taken one of these virtual tours. Then the islands were reopened for visitors. But the recording of each virtual tour is still available online.
It's a fun tool. It's something to do while you're bored at home and you know in lockdown or in isolation. So it's entertaining, but it's also informative. You know, the idea is to whet people's appetite and get them to want to come and experience this in real life.
Social media is becoming increasingly important to get people excited about traveling. Instagram has played a major role in establishing Trolltunga in Norway, the Rue Crémieux in Paris, and the Königssee in Bavaria as photo hotspots. And I admit to having waited in a queue before to shoot this photo in Mexico. On the Instagram account InstaRepeat, you can see how alike many holiday photos end up looking. It seems like some travel influencers are more interested in popularity than being original. But where there's likes, there's money. Tourism offices are collaborating with content creators on Instagram and TikTok to draw attention to their region.
I'm at the Louisenburg Rock Labyrinth in the Fichtel Mountains Nature Park. Have a look. Here we go.
Vreni Frost is a blogger who takes her followers along for adventures. On Instagram, she's joined by over 50,000 who accompany her to the Fichtel Mountains in Bavaria through her stories. Later, Vreni will also write a longer post for her blog, neverever.me.
This is unique in Europe. I've never actually seen something like this before, and that's exactly what I share.
Regions dependent on tourism are increasingly turning to this kind of marketing. Authenticity is important. The bloggers and their topics need to match.
We were thrilled, right from the start. Vreni is so authentic, just like the Fichtel Mountains. We were sure. If she didn't fit in here, who would? I'm the king of the world. The Queen. Excuse me.
Vreni Frost is taking her photographer along today. But this isn't vacation, it's hard work. Another part of her job is to interact with her followers.
My friends, what animal do you see here? I can't wait to hear what you think. Send me your replies.
Sure enough, the responses flood in.
We'd like to extend our reach. We want to make the region more known and show people how beautiful it is here.
But it's not just travel tips we like to get from influencers. Many are keen to listen to reviews of the hotel or restaurant. A German survey confirmed that 90% of the participants use review sites before booking online. These are more important to some than hotel websites or recommendations from friends.
Germany's Consumer Protection Agency warns that about 15% of online holiday reviews are fake. Which reviews can customers trust?
It's difficult to distinguish the real reviews from the fake ones. But there are some clues you can look for. Like, how detailed is the review? Or how professional do the photos look? Were they taken with a smartphone? These are all hints that could indicate whether a review is real or not.
It also helps to check the comments. This user reviewed hotels in 533 cities around the world in just a few years. Counting the comments helps too. The more reviews a hotel has received, the more likely it is they are real. Take time to see the negative reviews too. Some of the points criticized might not really bother you. Experts say that about 3/4 of the worldwide population doesn't feel online reviews can be trusted. And yet, we all use them.
No matter where you look for inspiration, most of you will be looking for beautiful holiday destinations far away from stress and worries. But there are also people who like to visit places that are connected to horror, disaster and death.
The Dachau concentration camp memorial site in Bavaria. Ground Zero in New York, where the Twin Towers used to stand. Or the restricted areas surrounding the former nuclear power plant Chernobyl. So-called dark tourists seek out sites that bear witness to horror and disaster. Posted on social media, they make for an eerie effect. Christian Eckert studies the phenomenon.
Dark tourism is tourism that's informed by a context of human suffering and death.
Social media plays a huge role in dark tourism. The problem is, this increases the risk of reducing these sensitive historic sites to macabre backdrops for callous snapshots.
Tourism is a reflection of society. It's a cultural phenomenon, and people will always try to express themselves through their travel habits. Some might decide not to take an educational trip through Southern Europe, but seek out former concentration camps or Chernobyl instead, just to prove they aren't like anyone else.
I feel ambivalent about this. On the one hand, dark tourism could lead to more historical awareness. On the other, these places should never turn into backdrops for self-staging. In the Sedlec ossuary in the Czech Republic, photos are now prohibited. The reason? Too many visitors were taking selfies. And that shows that holiday photos also have an ethical dimension. Antje Monshausen is head of Tourism Watch, an organization that encourages sustainable and fair tourism. To her, responsible photography is part of that. We asked her what to be mindful of.
A field of lavender in southern France. On Instagram, it's a classic motif. But to get their prized shot, many will trample straight through the fields, crushing the plants as they go. Or pick a wild bunch along the way. It's become so commonplace that farmers have begun to fear for their harvest. The poppy fields in California don't fare much better. In March 2019, visitors were so reckless that the beautiful hills had to be closed to the public. So watch your step, literally. Many hobby photographers prefer people in their snapshots, not plants. But don't just point and shoot. Speak to the locals first, without your camera, and always ask for permission.
Privacy is a very subjective thing. Different people have different lines they do not want crossed. A lot of that also depends on the culture, so it always makes sense to ask in advance. Generally, anything that happens inside an apartment is private. I should never take a photo through the window or through a crack in the door. That violates the right to privacy.
But not every public space is a good spot for a photo either.
Many places that we like to visit as tourists might be everyday spaces for others, or even holy sites. We might see a church, but to somebody else it's a place of worship. It's especially important to practice restraint during ceremonies.
In the temple of Angkor Wat in Cambodia, Buddhist monks have complained about being kept from prayer by swaths of tourists wanting a picture with them. But tourists can also intrude in other ways. In 2017, an Italian tourist dubbed a small Swiss valley the Maldives of Milan online. Several weeks and millions of views later, the tiny valley was overrun. Traffic jams stretched on for hours. Wrongly parked vehicles littered the roads and piles of trash heaped up. So remember to disable your geotags and keep your inside tips to yourself.
Especially in ecologically sensitive areas, a beautiful photo can encourage many other people to come to find that exact spot. And that's the problem. We call it over-tourism in cities, but you also get it in natural surroundings too.
So it's better to stop posting our secret spots with geotags. However, I want to keep using Instagram and Co. for my travel plans. The importance of these apps for the tourism industry can be seen on EasyJet. In their app, you can upload screenshots from Instagram. The app tells you the location of the spot and how you get there using EasyJet. Even if it doesn't always work out, it does show where the tourism industry is headed. Where do you look for inspiration for traveling? Have you ever been at a specific place just to take a photo? We look forward to hearing your stories. See you next time. Bye.